Welcome guys, and today we're gonna review Mist meta, weapons and builds itself. We're gonna do it via tier maker website, and big thanks to Big Lips McGee to add in all these pictures. It saved me insane amount of time. So let's start. So obvious, and the first place would take Deathgivers. Why? It simply outshine almost every build and weapon in Albion in Mists because of their tankiness, damage, utility, mobility, literally everything. The classic build that the people use mostly, it is Mercenary Jacket, Deathgivers itself with AoE Q spell, Shadow Edge, boots with energetic run to make sure, any cloth shoes with energetic run to make sure that you will not have any problems with energy, Undead Cape to make sure that you will survive on low health, and helmet could be totally different depending on your playstyle. It could be Mage Cowl, it could be Fiend Cowl, it could be Avalonian heavy helmet that can purge you and cleanse you and purge enemies in AoE radius. It might be very helpful when you are trying to kill enemies that has Undead Cape. And even Stalker Hood to prevent enemies to go in invisibility. The thing is that why it's so strong. First, you can stack on mobs your Q spell and start a fight with immediately E spell. Second is that damage per second in melee combat, in face-to-face fight, is very high due to its attack speed and passive on bleed. It's extremely strong. Mercenary Jacket will make you tanky as hell. On top of that, Shadow Edge is iframe ability. Yeah, it's pretty slow, but it will let you anyway to catch your targets, it will let you run away, avoid some abilities, and if you combine this in one build, it will make you almost unkillable in Mists. Of course, you will not be able to kill some setups, we'll talk about the setups a bit later. You will not be able to kill them, like some curses. It will be a tough fight. Maybe you will, but it will be insanely tough fight. But you don't need to fight them, you can easily skip, run away, thanks to, again, your insane mobility. And the reason why we are taking energetic run instead of leather shoes with refreshment sprint, heavy boots with healing run, is energy problems. To resolve this problem, you just need these shoes. It is must-have option. Guys, the second weapon, let's say Great Hammer. I'll put it in A tier. The build itself, it is Guardian Armor to reveal enemies from invisibility, Mage Cowl, Thetford Cape or Undead Cape with shoes on energetic run. So basically you kite your enemy like in Corrupted Dungeons and killing it to death. As a Q spell, you can take single Q spell, the first one that increased threat, but it also deals pretty nice damage per second because cooldown on this Q spell is pretty low. In the next patch, by the way, you can take AoE Q, that will break some shields, so versus some enemies you can of course change it, but mostly you will take only first Q spell. Insane mobility, insane survivability, and the most important thing, you can choose fights, what you will fight, what you will not fight, and thanks to this option to choose fight, to be able to run away in any time you want, this makes this weapon on, I'll put it on A tier, obviously, because you can do whatever you want, and it is the most important thing. Okay, next weapon and the next build. Let's talk about, okay, Bow Button was meta at the start, but then it was outshined by other weapons. Bow Button probably right now I'll put on C. When it was released, I mean this Mists update, I would put it on S tier or even on A tier, but right now only on C tier. Why? Because again, meta is changing, builds that people use is changing, so I would put it on C. The build itself, you got two options how to play Bow Button. First, classic Bow Button build, it is with Assassin Jacket, Mage Cowl, Undead Cape or Thetford Cape, probably Undead for more survivability, and any boots you like depend on your playstyle. It could be energetic run, healing run, or refreshing sprint. It is the first option. Second option, everything is the same, but as a jacket you can try to take Mistwalker's jacket. It is new jacket that transforms you into a wisp from Dota. You are becoming a cloud and you will receive no damage. Why it could be viable, and I saw some builds that perform pretty successfully with it, because there are lots of also curses. We're gonna talk about curses a bit later. There are lots of curses in Mist, and it will help you to fight these setups, especially one-handed curses. It will allow you to survive lots of damage, wait enemies, cooldowns, etc. Your own cooldowns. So, two options: Assassin Jacket and Mistwalker Jacket. It is tier C. Let's go next. Claymore. Claymore was one of the best options when these mists were released, especially Claymore with some kind of AoE purge helmet. It was on S tier. Now, after some changes, some nerfs, I would place it on a B tier. So Claymore build itself. You got several options. First, let's talk about cape. Undead cape or Thetford cape. Depend what you want. More damage or chance to survive on low health. It's up to you. Jacket itself. You got two options of jackets. You can take Mercenary Jacket and you can swap between Healing, Bloodlust or Fire Shield. Or if you want to play only with Fire Shield, one of the probably the obvious option is to take item that has more item power. So it is Avalonian leather jacket, since native stats are insanely high, so you can take this armor piece and use only Fire Shield. As a helmet, I guess AoE Purge is just must-have. So you take Avalonian heavy helmet. You can of course go budget and take Stalker Hood, Mage Cowl or Fiend Cowl. It's up to you, it's up to your playstyle. But this build, I mean, Fire Shield or Mercenary Jacket plus AoE Purge is literally the best. As boots, you need to use soldier boots, probably not so in soldier boots, any heavy boots with more item power you can afford, with Healing Run, and you'll be good to go. Because mostly you will use only Iron Will, and if you use Iron Will, you don't have any problems with energy. About, by the way, food on Deathgivers, I forgot. So, food that ideally you need to use on this Deathgiver is sometimes. By the way, it also works with Bow of Badon sometimes and with Claymore. And on some builds also. It is pure Mist Snapper that will increase your health a bit and will give you lifesteal. In tanky, when your enemy is tanky and you are going to take long 1v1 fight, one of the good options is to use pure Mist Snapper. It also fits to Deathgiver, it fits to Claymore, it fits to even Bow of Badon in some scenarios. So yeah, don't forget about that. You always, in general, when you play Mist, you need to have several type of food. Sometimes you need omelets for full cooldown reduction. Sometimes you need eel stew that you can boost your damage and cooldown reduction a bit. Sometimes you need pure Mist Snapper. Sometimes you need soup to reach when you are out of combat to heal up fast. So if it is possible, if you are playing on very expensive build, try to take each type of food and use it depending on your enemy. That you will see. Let's go next. Next weapon is Carving Sword. Carving Sword is one of my favorite weapons, but unfortunately it is not the best. It will work properly only with high tier, more than 6.1. I was doing a test run with this Carving Sword and I'll put it on between C and D, to be honest. Something like that, between C and D. Okay, let's even put it on D. I love this weapon, but unfortunately this mobility is nice that you have on Carving Sword here. This debuff is nice, but you need to choose your targets very, very carefully to make it playable. If you will choose targets ideally, if you will play safe, insanely safe, if you will know before the fight starts what setup you will win, with what circumstances you will die, you can even make it as a C or even as a B tier. But let's be realistic. I'll put it on D tier. Build itself, you got two options. I mean more than two options. Carving Swords you can combine. Okay, remember, make notes. Mage Cowl with Mercenary Jackets, Stalker Jackets, Assassin Jackets. You can use it and combine it between each other. You get two options actually. Let's start with obvious things. Helmets. You can use it with Mage Cowl, Guardian Helmet, Fiend Cowl, and AoE Purge. This is your main helmets. And then the jackets itself. It can be used with Assassin Jacket, Stalker Jacket, and even with Mistwalker Jackets. And now you can combine between each other all these helmets that I name you, yeah, and all jackets that I name you. You can combine it between each other and you will be efficient at some point. So it will all depend on your playstyle. As a cape, you can use also only two options. It is Deathward Cape, it is Undead Cape. Boots, three options, depend on your item power and your energy consumption and depend on what kind of W you are using. If you don't want to have any energy problems, Iron will. But let's be real, you will have no damage and you will be forced to use something like Split Slash and you will have later energy problems. So on high tier, probably Energetic Run is must have. If you are not planning to fight a lot, if you're not planning to run a lot, it could be even Healing Boots on any heavy boots. So yeah, you can go even with Refreshing Sprint, but come on. It's not the best option, especially in mists. So, as you can see, Carving Sword could be playable, could be fine, but it's not the most efficient weapon to play on. I was testing it with 6.1 items in the mists and was able to earn 12 millions and lost 4 with 6.1 build. But I was lucky, I was focused, I was trying to earn as much as possible, and anyway it was tough. For a regular player, probably you're gonna feed a lot, so I do not recommend you to play on Carving Sword. Next is Forge Hammers. Probably you saw some videos on YouTube how people were playing it, having fun, killing people. There is actually one good build, but I'll put it on D or even on E tier. Let it be E tier. Forge Hammers. It is Cultist Robe, it is Forge Hammers itself, Hunter Hood. By the way, I forgot about Hunter Hood. My bad, guys, my bad. You remember what I was telling you about this Carving Sword, yeah? What kind of helmets you can use, or even on Deathgiver. You can add to these variations, to these builds that I name, also a Hunter Hood. It is pretty nice option. It was buffed recently and now it has not 70% of Reflect but 100, so Hunter Hood might be a good option. Yeah, don't forget about Hunter Hood, but it is mostly like defensive gameplay and it's up to you. Of course you can use it, you can try something else, but it's definitely viable. So let's return to Forged Hammers. It will be E tier, Cultist Robe, with Hunter Hood, with Deathford Cape or Undead Cape, with Refreshing Sprint on boots. You can make kills, of course. You can dismount people, especially when you activate your E-spell, double your mobility and your enemy mount will just not move and you will clap them to the ground. But the thing is that after your E-spell is over, you're easy target to kill. So you need to be careful. I know you saw, again, repeat myself, some cool YouTube videos, but in reality it's not working versus enemies who know how to play this game. You can make kills for fun weapon. For fun you can use this weapon, but not for efficiency. At least right now. At the start everything was possible, but right now no. Next, Bracers. I'll put it in between B and C tier. I'll let it put it even on B tier. It was nerfed recently and now a range on your E-spell on 2 meters less. You might think, it's nothing. But in reality, with this 2 meter range, you cannot dismount people like easy like you was able to do it before. And cooldown on your W or on triple kick was also increased. Other than that, everything is still the same. You're still one of the most mobile setups in the game. But why I put it between B and even C? Because you cannot take lots of fights 1v1. in fair item power circumstances, you cannot physically kill lots of builds in 1v1 fights. My main build that I'm using and still playable, still viable, but working only when you want to feed on players is with high tier. It is working only with insanely high tier. There are several playstyles, we're gonna talk about that. First, if you want to feed with 8.1, 8.2 items or even 8.3 on low tier, it is Assassin Jacket, Fiend Cowl, Undead Cape, and Sandals on Energy. You need to use... before I was using Assassin Shoes with Refreshment Sprint, but you don't have energy. You need to do something with your energy. It is very mana-hungry weapon, and Energetic Sprint is must-have. There is one variation with Assassin Jacket, is if you will use Mage Cowl and Tetford Cape. If you will change these two items on Battle Bracer builds, you will be able to take some fights 1v1 thanks to this burst damage that you receive, and it will be easier to fight some setups, as I was saying, 1v1. But you are sacrificing an option. You will not have an option to catch your enemy. I mean, you don't have Purge, you cannot Purge Wanderlust or any other boots. You will not be able to catch lots of setups without Fiend Cowl. And Undead Cape, you will obviously not have an option to survive on low health. And guys, I wish you would know how much times this Undead Cape was saving my ass. So I cannot imagine my life without Undead Cape anymore when it was just released as a solo player. It's just must have. Another option how you can play, I tested by the way in latest videos, it is a Mistwalker Jacket. With Mistwalker Jacket you can take fights versus some curses, since you can wait this Quarterstaff debuff almost for the whole duration. You got an iframe with this jacket, so you can fight such setups like Claymores, or at least you can survive versus them. It is very unique piece of gear that need to be tested. I can bet more, but from what I saw already, what I experienced by myself, it can be a nice option with Battle Bracers if you want to go even with more survivability than it is right now, even with Assassin Jacket, because the benefit of these gloves, Battle Bracers, with this Mistwalker Jacket makes you immune to any purges, even AoE purges. Let's say you're fighting a guy that have AoE purge, a heavy helmet. You pop up your boots and immediately activate your Mistwalker Jacket. If a guy lands this purge, you will be immune to this purge completely. And you will just run away. Pretty easy. There is also a third option how you can play with bracers. It is retting. In this case you can use 4.1, 4.0 items battle bracers and just red kills, red enemies when they are on low health, or red quests. Since you have high mobility, it can help you a lot. The build itself with 4.1 setup will be probably Assassin Jacket, Battle Bracers, regular cape, Mage Cowl with poison or knockback, and any boots you like. It could be even leather shoes with the refreshment sprint, why the hell not? Since it is low tier setup, you will be fine with that. So yeah, you can red with Battle Bracers also. But there is no middle ground on Battle Bracers. You cannot be efficient with 6.1, 6.2, barely. You need to choose between high tier, like 8.2, 8.1, even 8.0 maybe, but 8.1 a bit better, or on low tier. Middle ground is very, very questionable with this weapon. Let's go next. Cursed Skull. I see it more and more. Why people actually playing on this Cursed Skull? And what kind of build? I put it in B tier. It is tanky as hell. It is almost impossible to kill it. Almost impossible to kill it. But why I put it on B tier? Because you got no mobility. Only mobility you have is your passive on your weapon and your boots. That's all. If there will be insane amount of rats, at least 6.1, few rats, you are dead man. You will not run away. But why people play it? They use build like Hunter Hood, Mercenary Jackets, Pumy Snapper, Soldier Boots with Healing Crown, sometimes they switch on Wanderlust, and they just face tank. They even use Martlock Cape in some scenarios, and from time to time you can take, of course, passive on energy instead of movement speed, and just face tank everything you see. Such setup can kill Deathgivers. This setup can kill Great Hammers. They don't care. They just stand still on one place. They take all fights. And making kills mostly, you are making kills mostly because of your enemy greed, or because you was insanely lucky and dismount in the middle of the fight when your enemies got no movement spell abilities, when they are low, etc. On top of that, you can, if your enemy is not allowing you to heal up with Mercenary Jacket, he's playing well, you can just cast your E-spell on mobs, activate your Mercenary Jacket, and you are full. Oh my god, I almost... Okay, never mind. You can heal up on full like that. So, Cursed Skull, I put it on B tier, only because of lack of mobility. But again, what could be an A tier, but I'll put it on B. No mobility, man. No mobility, so no. And you need to know how to play. You need to know. You will be, if one time you will be unlucky, and you are dead man. You will do anything. You will not run away, you will not reset, you will give your 8.2, 8.3 items to anyone. So yeah, let it be on B tier. Next one, Duo Swords. Oh, right now Duo Swords is one of the worst weapons in the game. You can make kills on this Duo Swords only if you will equip strong pieces of chest gear, helmet gear. You can equip Mage Cowl, Stalker Jacket, and you will be able to kill people only because of that. You can combine it with Mistwalker Jacket and Mage Cowl or Fiend Cowl. You can use it with Mercenary Jacket and again Hunter Hood, Mage Cowl, Fiend Cowl, or heavy Avalonian helmet and kill enemies. Again, I recommend you use Undead Cape anyway. Right now I put it on D tier, but there is one but. In the next patch number 3 it will be buffed and it might become even S tier or A tier. So right now I put it on D tier. I put it on D tier. But next patch it might be on S or A. Why? What kind of buff incoming on Duo Swords? Basically, when you use your E-spell, you will have crowd control immunity, so it will not be interrupted. You will always deal damage like you had before 2 stacks. Always damage that like you had on 2 stacks. You will not lose stacks of your Q spell. You will knock back your enemies into the air where you land on 0.7 seconds. Yeah, 0.6 seconds of knockback where you land. And on top of that, your attack speed will be increased with auto attack damage. And auto attack damage will be increased by 100% for 3 seconds. It is huge, strong on paper, but still might be not enough to become top OP weapon, but it can easily become S or A tier. Right now it is D, but take this into account. Next weapon. It is Avalonian Frost. Avalonian Frost right now probably the only Frost that is playable in Mists, and you have 2 builds. You can play with Assassin Jacket and Limhurst Cape, because you will have problems with energy. Okay, let's put it right now on B, or even on C. I'll put it on C and I'll explain you why. Builds itself. Assassin Jacket, Hunter Hood, or Mage Cowl, Fiend Cowl. These 3 options. As Cape, it is Undead Cape or Limhurst Cape. As offhand, you should use offhand on cooldown reduction. As boots, energetic run, but if you're taking energetic run, you can use Undead Cape. Or refreshing sprint. You need this refreshing sprint, which will reduce your cooldown. So basically, you kite your enemy. Thanks to your E-spell, Blink, non-target Q spell, you can make kills. and it might be playable and viable. Also, the second option of this build, the same items that I told you before, but to make sure that you will not have any problems with energy and you will be much more dangerous at some point, but less survivability, it is Cultist Rope. Cultist Rope will give you health and mana regen, so you can easily take Undead Cape, easily take Refreshing Sprint, and on top of that you can take Hunter Hood to tank insane amount of damage. Right now it is C, but could be even B tier. The reason why people, one of the main reasons why people don't play it a lot, it bugged. This E-spell is not working properly. Pretty often when you cast it on your enemy receives 0 damage on your ultimate. They don't do anything, you just deal 0 damage. For some reason it is not working properly, and that's why I put it on C tier. So yeah, but that's the only Frost that is viable right now and can be playable in the Mists. Next is Bloodletter. Bloodletter got several setups, how you can play with it. First, let's talk about, I'll put it on B tier. Because this is one of the, probably the most common weapon in Mists, but is used by reds. Let's talk about redding. Redding is one of the most efficient ways how you can earn silver in the Mists. You just need to take what? Soldier boots, assassin jacket, regular cape, mage cowl, or stalker hood with bloodletter and offhand on cooldown reduction, and that's all. You are efficient. You can take dash, you can get throwing blades to make sure that you run away and get your target, and just red kills as much as you can, or red quests. But let's talk about actual PvP build. If you want to play with actual PvP build, you got 2 options. First is play via Assassin Jacket, second is via Cleric Robe. Via Cleric Robe you got a classic build: Mage Cowl, Muisak, Cleric Robe, Thetford Cape, probably or Undead Cape, with even Royal Sandals, or any boots you like, to be honest, it will fit. Good old build that is not ideal. If you play with Cleric, probably it will be on C tier, for real. I would place it on C. But if you play with via Assassin Jacket, which is much more reliable and better, it will be on B tier. So the build itself, it is Hunter Hood, it is Assassin Jacket, it is offhand on cooldown reduction, Undead Cape or Thetford Cape, Bloodletter itself, and shoes with energetic sprint or healing run. That's how I would play, and that build is really strong. Why Hunter Hood? Because anyway, even with 6.1, mostly you will not be able to take lots of fights. You need to choose fights in the same way like you choose with battle braces. But if you will choose, you need to count on your Hunter Hood. And this Hunter Hood actually can help you to kill some Gucci builds. Let's say if there would be 8.2 Bracer and you're a 6.1 Bloodletter, if you will catch this Bracer on this Reflect, if you reflect his E-spell once, you can win this trade and kill this Battle Bracer pretty easy. Or you will be hard target to kill. So Hunter Hood is a good option. Of course you can try Mage Cowl, Fiend Cowl, but yeah, only the 3 options. Let's go next. By the way, I do not recommend you in most of the cases to play with Guardian Helmet, since I said there are lots of curses, is because even Guardian Helmet was nerfed in such way, so you need 2 Guardian Helmets to kill a curse or counter it completely. So it will not help you. In most of the scenarios it will not. Guardian Helmet is in very bad state right now. Let's go next. One-handed dagger. It is, I would put it on E, on the same level as Forge Hammers, but there is a build, one-shot build, that can be playable, and automatically it will move to B, or even, yeah, I would put it on B tier. Let's put it right now on E, but why I would put it on B? There is a build. It is Heretic Cape, it is Judicator Boots, it is Demon Helmet, it is offhand on crowd control duration, it is Hunter Jacket, it is Dagger itself with Shadow Edge, of course. So the combination is, probably you saw several videos and I want to try it also on my stream later. You start with Demon Helmet, then use Shadow Edge, make an auto attack, then use Judicature Boots, you activate in Trap, and your enemy is Silence, trapped, rooted, can't press any buttons, only potions, or Cleric Cowl if he have it, and that's all. And while he is disabled, you activate your jacket, you activate your E, and start attacking your enemy. Of course, you need to use Bleed as passive, it is must-have. Without Bleed, you will not kill it. And it is working only minimum with 8.0, minimum. Ideally, you need 8.2, 8.3 to one-shot your enemy completely. How you should play? There is actually a perfect example from Pew Pew. When he have made a loud out, he got items of 8.3 items in his inventory, and then items with 4.1 rating built on Bloodletter. So basically he was running around with this Bloodletter red build. People see his items, he's useless, there is no sense to afraid of him, I will just farm my spots. He showed his build, run away a bit, click one button, change loadout to this one-shot setup, dismounting, waiting for cooldowns, and slowly come into them. And they don't afraid, they know, they saw this guy on the screen, then he's not a threat. And then you start this one-shot combination and you are killing your targets. So this playstyle could be playable, but very risky. So I put it on E right now. Next thing is this gloves. They can be used also in one-shot setup only. Unfortunately, it is Cleric Cowl, Assassin Hood, Stun on W, and maybe even Assassin Shoes or Soldier Boots, why not? With regular key. Budget 6.1 build, I'll put it on D. So basically you start your combo with your W, E, Q, use Cleric, refresh your spells with Assassin Hood and repeat your combo, and you can kill some high tier enemies. But I call it suicide setup, so between D and E tier, let's actually put it on E tier, yeah. It's useless. Wildfire Staff. Do not recommend you to play in this gloves, guys, don't play in it. Just for fun, only. Wildfire Staff. I'll put it on C tier. Why? Because with two viable options how you need to play with this weapon. You are immobile, you got low mobility, so it is suicide, purely suicide setup. If it is suicide setup, let's put it on D tier. Suicide setup. You can use it with 4.1 or 6.1 items, sometimes a bit higher, but I do not recommend you to, because you're gonna die a lot. Cleric Rope, Keeper Cape, Hunter Hood, any shoes you like, even Giga shoes. If you will equip such items with 4.1, with 4.1, if an enemy will dismount in front of your face, you can even kill it. 8.1, 8.2, enemy could be melted down. You use Firewall, you use single Q spell, not AoE, not non-target, but single Q spell, and that's all. Start a fight with your Q, W, E. Ideally, you need to cast your E spell when your Keeper Cape is active. Try to make your enemy suffer with this Hunter Hood and Cleric Robe. Kite your enemy via Firewall, and this 4.1 setup or 6.1 with these items that I name, you can kill lots of builds, especially if they will be greedy as hell, because they will see, it's low tier Wildfire, I'll take it, I'll easy kill it. But in reality, you can kill much higher item power enemies pretty easy. The reason is simple, because this E spell deal pure damage, and this pure damage depends on your enemy maximum health. So more enemy health got, more damage you will deal to him. So yeah, it is suicide setup with Wildfire. I'll put it on D tier. Next weapon is Mace, one-handed Mace. Well, I put it on also on D tier, maybe even on E tier. In theory, it got mobility on Snare Charge, or E spell as mobility spell you can use. But it got no damage. You can of course try to play it like a Great Hammer, but I don't see people are trying to do that. It's not the same. It's literally not the same. But maybe there is not lots of players who are willing to test new things. Maybe it will become meta like Great Hammer, because why not? If it is working with Great Hammer, why it is not working with Mace, I got no clue. Maybe there is a reason why. But right now, no. It's no one is using it, but I got feeling it got potential. It really got potential, because why not? Right now, if we'll be real, if you will not build illusions, right now it's on E tier, but could be easily be on B or on A even. I got feeling that people are afraid to test new things. The way how you can play it is via Stalker Jacket, Mage Cowl, Undead Cape or Tedford Cape. You can play it with even offhand, of course, on cooldown reduction. You can play it with offhand on cooldown reduction, Guardian Armor, for example, Mage Cowl, and Kite in the same way like Great Hammer do. But I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure. So let's put it on E tier. Almost no one is using it. Battleaxe, by the way, is one of the strongest weapons. I'll put it on A tier. Battleaxe, there are several ways how you can play it, and one of these ways is to play via semi-kite Battleaxe. As you know, you can even start a fight with your E-spell without any stacks and deal pretty decent amount of damage, and that's how people actually play. They play with jump on W, not adrenaline rush, but actual jump that you can use as pretty decent mobility spell. As an offhand, you get two options: Muisak or Mist Collar. Damage or cooldown reduction, it's up to you. Jacket, Assassin Jacket with combined Hunter Hood. Mostly Hunter Hood people use it because it's pretty cool, especially on this setup. Or Mage Cowl or Fiend Cowl. Mostly Hunter Hood. Cape Tedford Undead Cape. As boots, people use healing boots or energetic run. Two options. You can go with cooldown reduction, but so. Especially when you use Muisak, you will have huge problems with energy, especially during the long fights, so energetic run might be very handy. First option. Second option is to play full tanky build, and it is via Mercenary Jacket. I saw people play even with a Hellion. Let me explain. Hellion is actually awesome option when you are trying to fight in mists only around mob camps. Why? Because you press one button and you are full in a second. That's why. That's the circumstances when Hellion Jacket might be a bit stronger than Mercenary Jackets. But most people use the Mercenary Jacket with, again, options: Hunter Hood, Fiend Cowl, Mage Cowl. Offhand and boots, the same that I said to you before. So it is A tier. Of course, you need to use third Q spell. It's still insane amount of damage and pretty nice. Next is food, by the way, almost the same as I was telling you at the start. You need to carry all type of food in your inventory and use it depend what do you want from your character, what kind of efficiency you want. You want lesser cooldown, you take cooldowns, especially when there is a long fight and you need to kite a lot. 1v1 face tank face-to-face fight on lifesteal and healing on the bonus health. You understood. Next weapon is Avalonian Gloves. It started to becoming a meta when Oathkeepers was a meta, but then Oathkeepers were nerfed and it drastically go down from B tier to E tier. Yeah. Not enough damage, not enough mobility. You need to choose between damage and mobility, and Battle Bracer is just much better in all scenarios. It's just much better. If it would be old patch when Oathkeepers were OP as hell, probably it will be on A or B tier to counter these Oathkeepers. But now we have other weapons, and Oathkeepers is not so scary as they were before, and mostly because of Royal Jacket, of course. So now I'll put it on E tier. The builds itself that you need to use are the same as with Battle Bracers, but you can make it, if you play ideally, you can put it on D, maybe even on C, but I'll put it on E. Don't play on Avalonian Gloves, it was always a bad option in open world, especially if you're playing solo. It is forcing you to choose again, as I said, between damage and mobility, and I don't like it, plus it is clanky a bit. Next weapon, Oathkeepers, was S tier. Was S tier, and I'll explain you why. Because of... oh my god. Because of synergy of your... oh my god, I break my icons. Okay, I'll fix it later. Because of synergy of items that you was using. You was using Mage Cowl, or you was using AoE Purge Heavy Helmets with Royal Jackets, and you could just spam your abilities. You cast your Q, W, E spell, Mage Cowl, then refresh all your spells with Royal Jacket and repeat your combo. You was tanky as hell, you was really tough to kill, even if your enemy got Purge. One Purge is not enough, ideally you need to have 2 Purges to easily kill it. That's why Avalonian Gloves were so good. So, right now I haven't seen lots of Oathkeepers. I would put it on D tier. You can still try to use it with Mistwalker Jacket, even with nerfed Royal Jackets, but it will never be so strong as it was before. But definitely viable, with of course Thetford Cape or Undead Cape. You got 2 options. Mistwalker Jacket, even 3 options. Mistwalker Jacket, Assassin Jacket, or Royal Jacket. Even nerfed Royal Jacket could be at some point still viable, but this build will cost you a lot of silver, and I'm not sure about this efficiency. Ideally I need to ask Coco, but Coco is on vacation, but probably he will also not play on Oathkeepers anymore, he will switch on something else. So it is D tier. Greataxe. There is one player that I know that play on this Greataxe, it is Eugene. By the way, he got his new YouTube channel, subscribe on his channel, Eugene Jean. You will find it on YouTube, just type what I said and then spacebar Albion, you will find it. He's a great X-Hammer, he's playing with Ninushk, he's making kills. His efficiency is pretty high with Greataxe, even in a solo miss. He was even able to kill Deathgivers with this build, but mostly because Deathgivers played in a horrible way, but nah. Anyway. I will put it in D tier. I would put it in D tier. It is niche weapon anyway. The way how he plays is Stalker Jacket, Mage Cowl, or Fiend Cowl with Thetford Cape or Undead Cape. Probably Undead Cape. Yeah, he's using Undead Cape, and all Greataxes I saw were using Undead Cape with the Fiend Cowl, Stalker Jackets. This type of with Royal Sandals. This type of gameplay could be viable. You can kill lots of setups, but you also need to reset lots of fights. So I'm not sure. Maybe even on E tier, between D and E, because if you are to be a new player, I would never suggest you to play on Greataxe. No, don't play it. You will die non-stop, so forget about that. If you got experience, you can make it playable and you can put it on D tier, barely. But new player, no, F tier. Let it be on F tier. Okay, okay, D. Daybreaker. Now, this is actually a very interesting weapon because right now it is so-so. One-handed spear, what we're gonna talk about, will be much better, but in the next patch it will be buffed. Right now it is clanky, cast time is super slow, and it's not so reliable like a regular one-handed spear that is fast, understandable, responsive. But next patch again, cast time will be decreased and travel speed of your E-spell will be much faster. So you will cast it like that. If right now it is like that, on next patch it will be like that. You might think it is not a big deal, but in reality it is, especially in 1v1 intensive PvP fight. Right now I will put it on E tier, between D and E tier, but in next patch it could be on a B tier. So let's put it on B tier, just for fun, just for lols. Maybe it will become viable. Again, builds. You can use this Daybreaker with Assassin Jacket, Torch, Hunter Hood, Mage Cowl, Fiend Cowl, classic spear build. with almost any shoes you like. It could be healing boots, refreshing sprint, even energetic sprints. Or even with... Nah, mercenary jacket is so-so. Yeah. Probably be assassin jacket. It's literally the... Or even hunter hood, by the way. I forgot about hunter hood. The same items that I told you is viable with one-handed spear. I'll put it definitely on a B tier. Okay, right now let's actually put it on E tier, Daybreaker, but make notes. It could become viable in next patch with this buff. Pretty easy. Let's talk about spear. The same items that I told you to Daybreaker. The strong parts, the strong side of these spears in general, all spears, but mostly one-handed spear, is because you can adapt to any enemy you see, thanks to variety of W spells you have. That's the true power of this weapon, and in theory it can outkite, kill, get away from any meta build if you play ideally. So it's not the best option to play on, but definitely decent. So I put it on B. Next, one-handed Frost. I'll definitely place it on D or even E tier, because Avalonian is just much better. This E spell is working in a super weird way. You need to kite a lot to kill your enemy. It is just not worth it. The insane amount of ways how your E spell could be countered pretty easy, and just for guts. The build is the same like with Avalonian. Frost, literally, they are the same, but please don't play it. Don't. It's very weak right now. Next is Beerpaw. Let's talk about Beerpaw. So, this weapon was one of the common weapons when mists were released, and people still use it. I don't understand why. All solo players who play actually solo in open world understand when this Beerpaw is strong, in what circumstances it is not. Guys, this weapon is not good for the mists. It's good for ganking in groups, it's good for ganking solo, but for straight 1v1 fights, you will lose to lots of setups on equal item power. Everyone will catch you, kill you anyway, and you will die a lot. You cannot even imagine how much silver I earned by killing these Beerpaw users. It doesn't matter what kind of tier. Tier 4, Tier 6, Tier 8, 8.2, 8.3. If you have a decent build, meta build, this is a foot. This is literal foot. Even it can be killed by any D tier weapons. Pretty easy. And there is a high chance to die from weapons that are in E tier. I'll put it in F. Don't play on Beerpaw. It's one of the worst weapons in the mists. I'm telling you, it can be killed by almost everything. Literally everything. Play battle on Battleaxe. I will not even tell you what build you can use. There are several ways, even we are Hellion jacket around mobs, mercenary jacket, assassin jacket, cooldown reduction, we are full... No, if you were gonna make kills on Beerpaw, it's because of your enemy got much lower item power, or you're killing them thanks to your jacket or helmet ability, but not weapon itself. It suck. Don't play on it. It got its nice weapon in general. It's a good weapon choice, but just not for the mists. Not for the mists. Forgot about that. I couldn't... Okay, let's go next. I couldn't find picture of Curse with Fear. So let's imagine it is a Curse with Fear. Yeah? It will be on A tier. Let me explain. And in what kind of circumstances I put it on A tier. So, it's like a Curse Skull. It got no mobility. Literally no mobility. It is regular Quarterstaff. So why I put it on A tier? Reason is simple. This weapon is broken. This weapon is broken as hell. I'll just give you an example. I was watching Atrophos, another content creator, stream. He was playing on this Curse with 0 specs, almost to 0, with 7.0 tier. Yeah, 7.0 with almost 0 specs. He almost killed 8.3. He almost killed 8.8. He just resetted 5. He almost killed 8.3. Only with dots. With 0 specs. Versus 120 spec 8.3 guy. The power of this weapon is in defensive potential. It is very tough target to kill, especially if you combine it with a Hunter Hood, Cultist Robe, or Assassin Jacket with Hunter Hood. You are becoming a target that is better not to assist, because it requires insane amount of efforts to kill you, especially if you combine it with Martlock Cape or Undead Cape. Man. All you need to do is to use single Q spell, Roots on W, movement speed passive, and that's all. And press your buttons correctly. Even with maximum spec 6.1, 6.2, you will be able to kill even 8.3, guys. It's not even funny. So that's why people if they see Curse, they all assist Curse, or they just ignore it. Curse with Fear is goddamn broken weapon. Why? Because when you cast your E-spell, you do not lose your stacks, duration of Fear is super long, and it do not consume stacks. If one-handed Curse, it's really tough. We're gonna talk about one-handed Curse, and I'll put it on C tier, by the way. If one-handed Curse, when you cast E-spell, you deal lots of damage, but you remove stacks, this E-spell, and you can later need to get the stacks again. This weapon don't need it. It can spam stacks non-stop with Q, W, E-spell, and then cast a stack again, then run away a bit, heal up with Cultist Robe. If you see that he is going to deal damage to you, you use Hunter Hood. After Hunter Hood, you use Assassin Jacket, then make at any distance, use Q spell again, then Fear, then use Boots, and it is it is almost impossible to make a kill on some setups. You just need to skip it. Even if your enemy would have, when you're playing on Curse with Fear, if your enemy would have 2 Guardian Helmets, it would not save you. It would literally not save you. This weapon will kill you anyway. So better ignore it or kill it together. Because if no one will assist this curse will kill everyone. So be careful. The build itself, I told you. Assassin Jacket, Hunter Hood, or Hunter Hood plus Cultist Robe. Martlock Cape or Undead Cape, that's all. Boots, you can use any you like, literally anything. You will not have problems with anything. Next, since we are talking about Curse, let's talk about one-handed Curse. You got 2 options how you can play. I'll put it even on B tier. Even on B, why not? This Curse, with budget build like Cleric Cowl, Mage Cowl, or Hunter Hood, with 4.1 or 6.0 items, with Soldier Boots, with offhand on damage, if you are playing 6.0, if you are playing super budget build, it could be Shield, or anything you like, could kill lots of setups. Just by rating, last hitting your enemies. You know the power of one-handed Curse, it was always strong in 1v1 setups, suicide setups. It is on the same level suicide setup like Wildfire. But you don't even need to kite your enemy and play good like a Wildfire, because Wildfire actually needs to hit with E-spell, kite correctly, place Firewall. Quarterstaff don't need it. It can literally do like that. Q, W, E, Q, W, boots, and your enemy is dead. Super easy to make kills. But there is another way how you can play it, and it is much more efficient if you are using high tier gear like, let's say, 8.0, 8.1. It is a Cursed Staff, it is offhand Muisak or Mistcaller, it is Assassin Jacket, and then Hunter Hood or Mage Cowl with Soldier Boots, with Carlion Cape or with Undead Cape. This build can outkite and kill lots of 8.3, 8.2 guys if you play not careful enough. So it is second option how you can play. So I'll definitely put it on B tier. Majority of players actually that you will face in open world will use these weapons, these curses, Bloodletters, Rats. There will be lots of Battleaxes, Gucci items, Gucci people that you will see will be only these 2 weapons, and sometimes Curse Skulls. That's what you need to keep in mind. Next weapon. It is Blight Staff. Blight Staff probably is the only healing weapon that can be playable in Mists, but anyway, it sucks. We'll put it on even on D on in E tier. Let's put it like that. The only viable option because of mobility on E spell, but healers is a healers. You can take some 1v1 fights. You can kill in theory some 1v1 enemies in 1v1. You can even red sometimes, but you are a healer. You're gonna die sooner or later. So forget about that. You can play also with via Assassin Jacket, Cleric Robe, Mage Cowl, Hunter Hood, Thetford Cape, Undead Cape, and you can do at least something. But it is a healer, and thank God they're not the strongest one in Mists content. Thank God, guys. Thank God. So it is E tier. Next one. It is Whispering Bow. Hi. I get so much messages. Man, on stream, you need to try Whispering Bow. It's so strong, it's so nice, I'm telling you. I was telling these guys, no, they are not playable. And I put it on E tier. Why? Because to make your E-spell work, you need to stand on one place and hit your target. And you cannot afford it in Mists. You literally cannot afford it. You can, of course, kill people like that. You can kill people like that in some 1v1 fights, but you also need to take into account environment, other players, third-party players, and there are much better options. You cannot afford to stay in one place, take much more damage since you activate your E-spell. It's very risky. You can play it via Assassin Jacket. You can play it with Mage Cowl, Thetford Cape, Undead Cape, Soldier Boots, Wanderlust ability, or even Refreshing Sprint or Healing Sprint, but mostly heavy boots with the with Healing Run from Soldier Boots, and from time to time swap it to Wanderlust. In this case, you can make some kills, but that's all. There is a variation to play via Fire Scale Rope, via third ability, but again, you're gonna play like a turret, and if someone will assist you, you will have no defensive, you will die super fast, and this build is just for fun. This weapon is literally for fun. I'll put it on E tier. Next weapon is a Warbow. Warbow I'll put between E and F. Probably let's put it on E. Warbow always was meta for solo gameplay, but right now this weapon is outdated and losing even to a longbow, probably in 1v1 fights. It could be efficient and nice in high tier like 8.1, 8.2, you can kill some people, you can red some people, you can do quests, but this E-spell is outdated. I know I hate Warbows itself, I hate to fight Warbows, but I need to admit it is too weak right now. This E-spell projectile is so slow, is insanely slow, that even 70 years old man can avoid it on medium range. So, and it is the only source of damage. Yeah, it's tough to kill, it's very obnoxious to fight a Warbow because he's forced to play via this knockback to keep distance, via knockback on a helmet. But more than obnoxious, this weapon is not. It is just obnoxious weapon to play versus and to play on, because it is taking too much time to get and to kill your target. I do not recommend you to play in a Warbow with the classic build like Assassin Jacket, Mage Cowl, or something like that, Thetford Cape. It's not the best. This weapon needs some kind of buff on E-spell. I'll put it on E. On E tier. I'm sorry guys, Warbow players. I love this. I like it. I like the mechanic, how this E-spell works, that you need to land, it has low cooldown, it's non-target ability, but it's just too slow. I'll put it on E tier, maybe someday it will be fixed. Next. Okay, it is Witch Work. I don't see one-handed curse. Oh, it is one-handed curse, I don't understand. Let's imagine, guys. This is one-handed Arcane. not Witchwork, yeah, one-handed Arcane. We'll not talk about other Arcanes, they are useless. The only Arcane that is playable. Okay, this one-handed Arcane and Witchwork could be okay, but Witchwork, I got feeling, is a bit weaker, because Purge on your E-spell is much more efficient than this Black Hole ability. I'll put it on C tier. Again, you're gonna play like a turret, like a curse at some point. This mobility that you got on W, this blade that allow you to teleport, is not enough to compete with weapons that have a decent mobility, so you're gonna die anyway, in most of the cases. There are several ways how you can play on Arcane in Mists. You need to play via Mercenary Jacket, Hunter Hood or Mage Cowl, tanky setup like this Curse, yeah. Offhand, Muisak or Mist Collar, with shoes on Refreshment or Healing Sprint, and you will be able to make some kills, again, if your enemy will be greedy. Second option is to play like this Curse, Fear Curse, is to play via Cultist Robe, Hunter Hood, but again, any red, any second, third guy, you're a dead man. And you know what? No, I will not put it on C. I will put it on D. I will put it on D. Why is C? No, D, definitely D tier. You can play also via Assassin Jackets and try to kite your enemy. Assassin Jacket, Hunter Hood, Mist Collar as an offhand. Barely playable. You can also try with Mage Robe, like some people use it in Corrupted Dungeons, but it is not Corrupted Dungeon, it is Mists. You always need to take into account other players, that you need, after a kill, you need to somehow survive. So, nah guys, I do not recommend you to play on this weapon, better play on something else. For fun, you can. If you know this class, if you love Arcane so much, you play only Arcane, you play ideally, you could play budget build, you can make it efficient, you can earn money in Mist, of course, and you can make it from D tier to C and even close to B, but you need to be a 5-head dedicated player to put it on B. Right now it is on D. Next, it is Quarterstaff, guys. It is Quarterstaff. This one I'll put it also on D. As a weapon for 1v1 fights, you can kill people pretty easy only if you will overgear your enemies via Stalker Jacket, Mage Cowl, Demon Cape combo, or Tetrod Cape. Also will fit with Hunter Shoes, with stun duration, yeah, bonus stun, crowd control duration, or with any shoes you like, to be honest. And play around your combination of your armor and helmet. But that's all. Other than that, you don't have any damage. You can of course try it with Mercenary Jacket, but no, I do not recommend you. No one will allow you to hit him for such a long time. Plus, you need to take into account other rats. You need some kind of damage because your weapon doesn't have it. It is two options. Okay, one option: Stalker Jacket, or two options: Stalker Jacket, Assassin Jacket, with 6.1 and higher, even 6.2 and higher. And you will become at least at some point efficient with Mage Cowl or Fiend Cowl, with Tetrod Cape or Demon Cape, or Undead Cape. Well, probably, yeah, you need to play with the Demon or Tetrod. This build could be okay, barely, but okay. Again, if you're a dedicated player, you invest insane amount of time, like Quarterstaff, you can make it between B and C, but not higher. And there's also a red build with this Quarterstaff to do quests. You can use Miner Shoes, Assassin Jackets, and Steel, Turbulent Mists, or even regular run with Assassin Jacket, with any cloth helmet on knockback, with regular cape. But such playstyle, I don't know, some people enjoy it. But if you want to rat, just take Bloodletter. It will be much more efficient, plus you will be able to actually make kills and execute players on low health. With double-bladed staff it will be tough. So I maybe even E-spell, on E tier. Yeah, let's put it on E tier. Nah, yeah, it's here. Let's go next. And what is next? Okay, this weapon, weapons, I will not talk about all weapons, because if I'm not talking about this weapon, don't even bother to try it. Don't even bother to try it. Dual daggers, F. No need to explain why. A dedicated player, of course, can make it viable and put it on a D tier, but right now this weapon is outdated. Even the next buff that this weapon will get, it is at some sort of buff and at some sort of nerf. Because cast time increased from 0.4 to 0.6, it will make this weapon even easier to counter than it was before. Well, it make it, yeah, uninterruptible. In the next patch, your E-spell will not be able to interrupt, but Deathgiver is just much better. There is no sense to play... Okay, it's F tier. Right now, Dual Daggers is F tier. I will not even tell you about what kind of builds you can use. Don't play on this weapon. Okay, this one, regular bow, no. Claws, no. Claws was actually okay option when Oathkeepers was meta and you was hunting these Oathkeepers and you was able to earn money with claws. But right now, since Oathkeeper is not meta, it doesn't matter. Kingmaker, of course, no. This, no, 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 no. This, by the way, via kites, possible. You can place it on E tier via Assassin Jacket, Hunter Hood, and kill enemies that will be super greedy. And it was buffed, by the way. Also, E-spell was buffed, or will be buffed in the next patch. Actually, I don't remember. But it will not work. It will not. Just for ruffles, let's put it on E, but no. Okay, no, not working. What do we have? Holy, no. Quarterstaff, no. This one only for PvE, no, and only for fun you can use. Longbow is also for fun. I got feeling that we reviewed all viable weapons. Yeah, also will not work because mobility is not enough. By the way, in Corrupted I was surprised. This weapon got decent mobility because you can stack on, get mobility from mobs that are everywhere, but in Mist you will not have such option because mobs are in random locations and you cannot count on this movement speed. So I will not even put it on this list. Regular Fire Staff, no. But it was buffed, by the way. Regular stuff was Fire Staff was buffed, and you can make kills actually with higher item power. And if you will play versus greedy enemies, but I think that's all. Yeah, Clarement, no. Broadsword, no. You need to understand that you can make kills in Mists, in Albion in general, even with a goddamn spoon. All weapons that you see, you can make kills, you can make them playable, you can make profit, but it doesn't make these weapons effective or at some point playable. It doesn't make it. These weapons barely can have some efficiency natively. Even if you don't know how to press buttons, you will be at some point efficient with certain builds, certain setups. So that's my top tier list. I hope it was useful information, and if you're a new player or was not playing Albion, just returning player, this information will be useful for you. But for today it is over. Don't forget to press like button and type any comment in comment section below for YouTube algorithm so more people would see this video. Thank you for watching and stay safe and Happy New Year, guys. Bye bye.